Welcome back, students. Today we are going to discuss about the new chapter, that second chapter of 11th biology, that is biological classification. Earlier in first chapter, I told you about the classification and the reason why we are classifying the organisms. Because as I told you, classification is very important. Just it is important. Why it is important? Because it's making this scientific study easy. That's why we are classifying the organisms into different categories. But again, here in this chapter in biological classification, we are going to discuss about how these scientists, or how the different people or the ancient people, they divided these organisms into different categories. What were the basis of this division? Why these divisions they are just continuously changing from since then to till today, and what kind of classification they have done. And again, we are going to discuss about these biological classification here. So first of all, while we are just discussing the biological classification, you should know that first earlier the people, they have divided these organisms or classified these organisms on the basis of their uses and disuses. That, as we know, the basic requirement of human being is the shelter, clothes and food. So on the basis of this, they have divided the organisms, either they are useful or they are not useful. But first scientist was Aristotle. He classified the organism into two categories. One, he just put all these herbs, shrub and trees in one category, that plants, and red blood animals and the white blood animals he just put in animals. That means he divided the organisms into two categories, plants and animals. This was the first attempt done by this Aristotle to classify the organisms based on the these are the plants or these are the animals. Accordingly, as later on, the scientific, the more detailed classification or the scientific based classification was done by the scientist, that is Carolus Linnaeus. He was the first scientist to classify the organisms into two kingdoms, two categories or two kingdoms, you can say. Two kingdom system was given by this Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus was the first. He has given two kingdom system, the kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. As name indicates, kingdom Plantae, it includes all the plants, and the kingdom Animalia, it includes or it consists all the animals. But as we know, different organisms are there which are just making us confused. Either we have to put this in this Plantae, or we have to put this in Animalia. This was the reason. Number of problems were there while he just this Carolus just divided the animals into different categories. So this division, this two kingdom system was not sufficient. A number of reasons are there, because the main criteria which was taken by the Carolus Linnaeus to classify the organisms into two kingdom system was the gross morphology, that is the outer appearance. As I told you earlier, classification that is totally based on the similarities and the dissimilarities. So most of the time he just included, or he considered the this gross morphology, either they look similar or they look different. This was the first criteria. Secondly, he just also considered the cell wall, what kind of cell wall it is having. So what kind of cell wall it is having, and other thallus and body organization was also considered by this Carolus to classify the organisms. But even though he has just included all these points, even though this two kingdom system was not sufficient to classify or to satisfy this scientist to study these organisms. That's why a number of scientists, they done their attempts to classify the organisms. So later on we are having three kingdom system also, then four kingdom system also, and ultimately we are having the five kingdom system. That was given by the R.H. Whitaker. We are going to discuss in detail. First we will discuss this Carolus Linnaeus. What was the drawback? The important thing is to know, though he was the first scientist to make an attempt to classify the organism based on the gross morphology and just considering the other points also, and but this two kingdom system was not sufficient. It was having number of drawbacks. Now the important thing is to understand what are the drawbacks of these two kingdom system which was given by this Linnaeus, and these are that that means Linnaeus, he was not able to differentiate between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. They put together all prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells because he only considered the morphology and the cell wall or the cellular structure. He has not considered the composition of the cell wall. He has not considered the thickness of the cell wall. He has not considered the this pigmentation of the cell wall, either they are plant cell wall or the animal cell wall or whatever. So accordingly, this was not sufficient because they have put together all prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cell. Like bacteria is a prokaryotic cell and cyanobacteria, that is the eukaryotic cell. So he put these together, bacteria and cyanobacteria, together in one category. Because bacteria is a bacteria, this is a prokaryotic cell, and cyanobacteria, this is an algae. Again, this is the algae. But what he done? He just put these bacteria and cyanobacteria together because they were having the similar appearance as well as the cell wall. Second, he was not able to differentiate between the heterotroph and the autotrophs. So he put all these animals, heterotrophs and autotrophs together, like fungi. As you know, fungi non-green. This is a different category. Fungi and plants, because the main criteria was that fungi is also having cell wall, and that is made up of the chitin, and this is non-green. This is non-green, and plants, they are also having a cell wall, but that is made up of the cellulose. So he considered only the cell wall. He was not bothered about what kind of chemical composition is there in the plant cell wall or the fungi cell wall. That's why. Later on, a third point was that he was not able to differentiate between unicellular and multicellular organisms. He again put the unicellular and the multicellular organisms together. That is as protozoa and animals. Protozoa was an eukaryotic cell, and animals, they were also eukaryotic, but they are multicellular. So he put these protozoa and animals together in one category. And the last point is that because of these points, he is not considered this phylogenetic relationship. He has not considered the reproduction. He has not considered the this habitat of the organisms. Later on, because these were the drawbacks. What were the drawbacks? As I told you, prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, they were put together, and heterotroph and autotroph animals, they put together, not differentiated between the unicellular and the multicellular organisms, and simply he placed the higher animals with the simple animals, like protozoa. Earlier it was considered in animal. So we are having this separate group now for protozoans and the animals. So these were the drawbacks, and that's why it was having number of these drawbacks or negative impacts. That's why most of the scientists, they were not satisfied with this two kingdom system, and this was not sufficient to explain the criteria of the different organisms. And later on, number of scientists, they also made an attempt, and they considered the phylogenetic relationship. They considered the morphology thoroughly. They are also considered. So they considered morphology. They considered the phylogenetic relationship. They considered the thallus organization. They considered the cell wall. They considered the habitat, the area in which they are living. They considered they are made up of single cell or the multi-cell, or they are this prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cell. That means now they just studied they just considered the detailed points, and then they classify the organisms into different categories. Later on, the best attempt was done by this R.H. Whittaker. R.H. Whittaker, he was the scientist who has made an attempt to classify the organism into 5 kingdom system or 5 categories in 1969, and the system which was given by R.H. Whittaker is known as the 5 kingdom system. 5 kingdom system is very important because now whatever the drawbacks were there in this classification given by the Linnaeus, they have been overcome by the classification given by the R.H. Whittaker. So he was the first scientist who was given the best classification of 5 kingdom system, and these 5 kingdom systems, as I told, as I just written here, that 5 kingdom systems are the kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, kingdom Animalia. These are the 5 kingdoms which are just given by this R.H. Whittaker. So he has given this 5 kingdom system. So he divided the organisms into 5 kingdoms. What are the name of these 5 kingdoms? Kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, kingdom Animalia. So what were the drawbacks in say 2 kingdom system or the 3 kingdom system? Now they have overcome, or they have just solved all these problems which were there in the 2 kingdom system. What were the criteria? What was the criteria of this R.H. Whittaker's kingdom system? He has considered the complexity of the cell wall structure, that is prokaryote and eukaryote. Now he has differentiated. He put the prokaryotic cell into separate group of the kingdom, and he just placed the eukaryote into a different group. So he has divided the prokaryote from the eukaryote. So this was the very important attempt which was done by the R.H. Whittaker, and earlier it was not considered in 2 kingdom system given by the Linnaeus. Second was the body organization. He also considered the body organization. So he has classified the organisms which are single celled, which were unicellular, they were placed in separate kingdom, and those who were having multicellular structure, they were placed into the different category or the different kingdom system. Again he has classified the, and he has just minutely he has classified the organisms into different categories. He considered all the points together. And the third point was that mode of nutrition. Earlier, because in this 2 kingdom system, they have not just differentiated the organism on the basis of habitat, as I told you, what kind of food or feeding habit they are having, either they are autotroph or the heterotroph. But in 5 kingdom system, he considered this habitat also, and he just divided the organisms, either they are autotroph, they can synthesize their food, or they are heterotroph, they cannot synthesize their food, or they are holozoic, or they are just complex organisms, they are just taking the solid food accordingly. So on the basis of the food habit also, he has divided the organisms into different categories. So his this view or his this vision was this broad vision. He has taken the broad vision, you can say, and he has just considered these very minute points, and on the basis of he classified the organisms into different categories. That's why this is the very good or the best attempt done by this R.H. Whittaker to classify the organisms into 5 kingdom system. Again, he also considered the lifestyle. Lifestyle means either they are producer, they are consumer or decomposer. At the same point, I just told you they are autotroph. Autotroph means they are producers, and then this heterotroph, either they are consumers or the decomposers. So again, he classified the organism on the basis of these characteristics also. And the last point, very important point, which was not just ignored in 2 kingdom system, that was the phylogenetic relationship. What is phylogenetic relationship, students? This is very important. Do know how to understand what is phylogenetic relationship. Phylogenetic relationship means the evolutionary history or the evolutionary relationship. That means either we have evolved from the same point, or we have just originated from the different points. If we are originated from the same point, that means if we start with the life from the same point, or we are sharing the common ancestors, then we belongs to the same family, or we are sharing the same genes or the genetic, you can say. So if we are having, for example, I can just give one example. For example, we human beings, we are sharing our genes with the apes. हम कहते नहीं forefather हमारे बंदर हैं, we are having the monkeys as forefather. तो हमारे forefather monkeys कैसे हो गए? देखो हमारा जो genetic makeup है, the human beings they are having 99.9% similar genes with the apes. So that's why we are saying we are having close relation with the apes. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? That means we are sharing the phylogenetic history, and we have originated from the same ancestors. So this is different, that we have evolved in a different way and they have evolved in a different way. That's a different thing, that's different history, that's the case of evolution. So that's a different chapter. But phylogenetic means either we are just sharing the same ancestorship, or we belong to the same family, or we belong to the same organisms. This is the phylogenetic relationship. Okay? So these are the important points which was considered by the R.H. Whittaker while he just gave this 5 kingdom system. Now we are coming to the this detailed study of this five kingdom system. So we have already overpowered, we have already dissolved all the problems which was there in this two kingdom system. Now these points or these drawbacks or these difficulties, they have been overpowered or overcome by the this kingdom system which was given by the R.S. Whittaker in 1969. As I told you, class. Five kingdom systems, as I told you: kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Animalia. We are going to discuss these kingdoms in detail. Okay. So first of all, we are going to study about the kingdom Monera today. Kingdom Monera, as earlier I told you, bacteria. Bacteria are the prokaryotes and are the unicellular organisms, though they are having cell wall. But earlier they were considered along with the algae and fungi and the multicellular organisms. So here they have given different category Monera. The kingdom Monera is that kingdom which is including or which is considering all the microbes. Simply you can say bacteria or the microorganisms. Earlier they were put in with the algae, cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria, now they place the cyanobacteria in this algae. Okay. Plantae में रखा. Plantae is having one category, subcategory, that's algae. So they are just considered inside this blue green algae or this different. Now no. And the third category is the fungi. Earlier we considered the fungi into plants. Now they have just divided the animals with non-green cell wall, that is the fungi, and Plantae. They are all plants that are included in Plantae, and Animalia or higher animals, they are placed in one category, that is Animalia. So kingdom Monera is consisting or is made of or is including all the bacteria or the microorganisms. As we know, microorganisms, they cannot be seen with the naked eyes, and they are present everywhere. Everywhere means they are present in the thermal vents in the high temperature, that's having 100 degrees centigrade. They are present in the deep ocean regions. They are present in the these icebergs or ice, you can say, and they are present in high alkaline medium. They are present in the high acidic medium. They are present everywhere, you can say. They are present everywhere. So we are having bacteria, they are present everywhere, and bacteria, they are having positive impact and the negative impact. Already we know that they are useful as well as they are harmful. So while we are just talking about the types of bacteria, mostly the shape or the structure of the bacteria. The types of bacteria, mostly we are having four types. Morphologically there are four different shape and structure they are having. The rounded shape structure, that is known as the cocci, and the rod shape, that is known as the bacillus, and we are having the comma shaped bacteria, that's known as the vibrio, and we are having the fourth category of these bacteria, that's known as the spirillum. They are having spiral-like structure, so that's why they are given the name spirillum. So the basis of structure or the shape of these bacteria, four categories are there: cocci, rod, this bacillus cocci, it's rounded, and by this bacillus is the rod shape, and vibrio is the comma like structure, and the spirillum is the spiral-like structure. These are the basic structure of these bacteria. Okay. Now when we are going in detailed study of the bacteria, these bacteria, they are classified into two sub-kingdoms, that is Archaebacteria and the Eubacteria. Archaebacteria, what is Archaebacteria? If we are just talking about the Archaebacteria, Archaebacteria are the, you can say these are the special kind of bacteria. While Archaebacteria, they are the special kind of bacteria. Why they are special kind? Because they are having a very thick cell wall, and this cell wall is forming a cyst during unfavorable condition, and it is protecting these bacteria during harsh condition. As I told you, these bacteria, they can be survived or they are present everywhere. Either it's the having in 100 degrees centigrade, or if they are present in a minus 0 degrees centigrade or minus temperature, you can say they are present in alkaline medium, high salinity medium, or acidic or medium. Everywhere they are present everywhere. Whatever the corner of the world we are having, bacteria, they are existing, they are presenting everywhere. So these bacteria, they are known as the special type of bacteria, and because of the thick cell wall, they are present everywhere. And the very important in this Archaebacteria, that is the methanogen. Methanogen is very important. As you know, methanogen, these are the bacteria which are producing methane gas or the biogas, and this is present in the guts of the animals. Animals, the mammals, you can say. and these bacteria, because these are converting or these are digesting the cellulose, that is the cellulose. As I told you, plant cell wall is made up of the cellulose. So animals mostly what they are eating plants, that means they are taking the cellulose inside, and this cellulose is very difficult to digest, and we human beings, we cannot digest this cellulose. That's why we are most of the time we are peeling the vegetables, we are peeling the fruits, and number of things we are peeling. Without this cell wall we are taking these foods. But these animals, they are not having such kind of facility, so they are eating directly these plants, and this cellulose is directly going inside their body. So how this cellulose is digested inside the body of these mammals or the animals, you can say. So these methanogen, that bacteria that is living inside the guts of these ruminants or the rumen of these animals, you can say. So these animals which are having such a second stomach inside the body, that's known as the rumen, and in rumen this type of bacteria is present, that is methanogen. So this methanogen, what it is they are doing, it is just digesting the cellulose, and it is producing one gas, that is methane gas, that is known as the this biogas. So this is important, because this methane gas is also causing the, as you know, this global warming is there because of this methane gas. This is a very important or very dangerous gas in this way, you can say. This is creating this global warming, or this is an greenhouse gas, this showing greenhouse effect. So whenever this cellulose is digested by the bacteria, then methane gas is present, and the bacteria which is producing methane gas is known as the methanogen, and mostly this is present in the animals which are eating or feeding on this fodder or directly taking the plants, as in this herbivore, you can say. So these archaebacteria are the special type of bacteria, okay, because they are digesting or they are surviving in harsh conditions. Now the second type of bacteria, that is the eubacteria. Eubacteria, this is a true bacteria. That means whatever the bacteria we are encountering in daily life, and these bacteria, they are useful and harmful. And mostly these bacteria, they can be autotroph, they can be heterotroph, or they can be photosynthetic bacteria, they can be chemosynthetic bacteria, depending on the condition. Some bacteria, they can synthesize food with the help of the photolight or the sunlight, you can say. Sometimes they are synthesizing food with the help of the chemicals or the organic material which is present in the surrounding. So depending on the position, they can be photosynthetic bacteria, they can be this chemosynthetic bacteria. But most of the bacteria, they are heterotroph, they cannot synthesize their food. And some bacteria, they are harmful and some are useful also. So while we are talking about the cyanobacteria, as I earlier told you, cyanobacteria, earlier it was put in the algae, but this was not an algae, it is an bacteria. Okay, cyanobacteria is in bacteria, and this is the diagram of cyanobacteria, or the nostoc or blue-green algae, you can say. So these are present in the filamentous form, and they are having a special cell inside the body, that is known as the heterocyst. This heterocyst is important because this heterocyst is helping these bacteria or these organisms to fix atmospheric nitrogen into nitrate or nitrite, that is increasing the fertility of the soil. That's why while we are talking about the organic farming, we can talk about the blue-green algae, nostoc and anabina also, because these are the increasing this fertility of the soil in a natural way. So these are the nostoc colonies, I just told you. And इसके अलावा क्या होते हैं, we are having nostoc colonies in this eubacteria, and we are having number of bacteria which are harmful and useful. Useful bacteria, you can give the name of the curd making bacteria, that is lactobacillus or lactic acid bacteria, that is converting milk into curd. We are getting number of antibiotics because of these bacteria. Number of bacteria, they are used to make number of medicine also, and number of bacteria, other bacteria, they are also causing diseases like diseases, cholera is there, tetanus is there, number of diseases are could be caused by these bacteria. The bacteria, they can be harmful as well as they can be useful. Now the other point is that these bacteria, they are multiplying simply by mitotic means. They are multiplying by mitotically, that means simply just cell division. They are making 1, 2, 4, 4, 8. They are multiplying in this way. One cell is making 2, 2, 4, 4 to 8, and simply they are dividing mitotically, and by this way they are multiplying and they are increasing. But sometime these bacteria, they will also show some different kind of this process of reproduction. That's not the conjugation. Conjugation is it resembles with the sexual reproduction, and these two cells or two bacteria, they are coming together and they are forming a conjugating cell, and this conjugating cell is helping these bacteria to transfer the genetic or the DNA of one to the another. By this way, they are showing some this imitating, they are imitating or they are just showing the same procedure like sexual reproduction in organisms. And again, the last point of this is the mycoplasma. Mycoplasma is again very different type of bacteria. It is not having any cell wall. अभी तक जितने बैक्टीरिया मैंने बताए हैं आपको, they most of them they are having a cell wall, but mycoplasma is the bacteria which is not having any cell wall. Only plasma membrane is there, and this is the very smallest type of bacteria, and this is always causing disease. This is causing, it's a pathogen type bacteria, and mostly this is living without oxygen. This is anaerobic type bacteria. So class, we have today just studied about the this kingdom Monera and the different classification system. So I think this is the whole points I explained in this biological, because this is starting of biological classification, and we have just studied the only the classification of the kingdom Monera. Next in next video, I just going to teach you about the kingdom Protista, fungi, and this all different categories. So class, thank you so much for this. In next video, we'll do the next topic. Thank you so much.